Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, just less than a month removed from, actually like 2 weeks removed from Michigan winning the national championship over Washington. Harbaugh, it was an interesting year for him at Michigan. They did a self-imposed 3-game suspension for recruiting violations, and then in November, the Big Ten suspended him for another 3 games for a sign-stealing scandal surrounded by the good old Connor Stallions. Harbaugh agrees to a 5-year contract with the Chargers, replaces Brandon Staley, inherits an awesome young quarterback in Justin Herbert. Amine, I'll start with you here on this one. What were your initial thoughts to this Harbaugh hire, and do you think he's just sick of the punishments pouring on at him at the college level?
I think for sure that definitely plays a factor, especially the stress he went through this year. But also, I never saw him as like a Nick Saban type, someone who's going to be a college lifer, even though I know Saban was an NFL guy for a few seasons, but he was really known for his college coaching. I always saw Harbaugh as someone who was going to take the next step up eventually. And this was the season to do it. Not even withstanding all the drama that he went through, undefeated, Big Ten regular season champion, national champion. First time Michigan has had that since Tom Brady was there. So that's a long time, obviously, and only their second outright national championship. He beat Ohio State the last 3 seasons, which is something he didn't do in his first 6, I believe. So absolutely the best way to go out is to go out on top. This was the year to do it. Also, when you factor in all the drama. So I wasn't surprised. And of all the places I thought he might end up, the one that made the most sense was the Chargers to me. Obviously, he was a coach at Stanford back in the day, so a West Coast guy, beautiful weather out there. And like you mentioned, he's inheriting a great young quarterback who's got all the tools. He's been a little mismanaged, I think, the past couple of years. Last year, they made the playoffs, and in that horrible game against the Jaguars, they just stunk it up in the second half. And this year, the wheels just came off. So the Chargers needed a fresh coat of paint. And Harbaugh's going to bring a ton of excitement. I remember when he went to the 49ers that first year, right out the gate, the 49ers were really, really bad for about 15 seasons from like 2002 to 2000, not 15, I guess maybe a decade, 12, 13. So when he got there, 13-3 right out the gates, made the NFC Championship the first 2 seasons. Not only did he do that, he did it with 2 different quarterbacks. He had Alex Smith and Kaepernick. So, and he's obviously molded J.J. McCarthy over at Michigan. So he knows how to work with young, talented QBs, especially QBs who can run as well as pass, which Herbert can do. It's one of his more, understated skills, his legs. He's a great thrower, obviously. So I think it's the right fit. And I think the Chargers are going to be one of the teams to watch out for the next couple of years, especially in the AFC West. The Raiders, you never expect much from them. The Broncos have been a mess, and I don't see that changing. I think Sean Payton has jumped the shark. So really all you got to worry about in that division is KC, who will obviously be there. And it'll be exciting because now that he's in the AFC, we might see another Harbaugh matchup coming up soon, like that Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the Ravens are actually scheduled to play the Chargers in the regular season in 2024. And, as you mentioned, Harbaugh has a plethora of experiences in college and at the pro level. I'm the head coach from 2011 to 2014 for the 49ers, at Michigan the last 9 years. And then his NFL head coaching record is very good despite it being brief. And he actually is a former Charger player. He was a starting quarterback for the Chargers for quite some time back in the day. So he returns home to LA. Good for him. Again, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan out there if you see my sweatshirt, but now that he's no longer with Michigan, might be able to root for him again. We'll definitely see what happens there. Definitely the biggest splash of this hiring cycle for sure. And by the way, it's looking like the Chargers might steal our assistant GM as their new general manager, Brandon Brown. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. It's not common that the head coach gets hired before the GM when a cycle like this happens. Usually you want the GM to pick his guy, but there has to be a plan in place with Jim Harbaugh. That's my only logical thinking about that. So, but hey, they are in cap hell, though. I will say that. They have to get out of that fast. They got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They need a tight end. I won't be shocked if they roll with Bowers at 5, which might be considered a reach for some, but he's definitely a top 5 talent in this draft. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm getting ahead of myself, but congrats to Jim Harbaugh and congrats to the LA Chargers.